Absolutely. So, just really quickly, I wanted to get started off by saying thank you for having me here today. I did speak before the state legislature last week, and it was brought into question the fact that we were not under oath. And I know that someone pretty vocally voiced that we may not have been telling the truth uh, in our testimony. But I just want to point out for everybody really quickly that I do have a sworn affidavit in front of me, and I've sworn under penalty of perjury that the statements that I'm giving today are true, and I will continue to testify this, and I'm willing to go under oath if that needed to be done. So I just wanted to point that out really quickly. I served as a recount monitor in Cobb County and in Fulton County. I started off in Cobb, and while there's a lot of issues with Cobb County, just for the sake of time, I'll be mostly focusing on Fulton County. But I did just want to share one or two quick things in Cobb County that kind of speaks to the hostility and the tone that was given towards the recount monitors, such as myself. I was at table 18. This was on the 14th, I believe. It was the first day that I went, the first day of the recount, and I was observing one table. I was there for about 5 minutes, and within the span of 3 minutes, everybody here should be aware of the procedure that the first auditor will call out what the ballot is selected for. Then the second one will confirm it and place it in the respective bin. Well, three times in 3 minutes from 2:09 to 2:12, the first auditor called out and wrongly attributed three votes for that were supposed to go for President Trump and called them out for Joe Biden. So that happened three times in 3 minutes. Now, the second person, the system worked. The second person caught them. But my concern is, does this always happen? Is it always corrected? Because this is just while I'm standing there. The only reason I left that table is because at another table, I was told that one of the auditors was not double checking her counterpart. She was just simply taking them, placing them into the bin. This was table 17. Very quickly, I just want to get through this. I walked over there, observed that she was not. I was told that I'm supposed to mention this to the members of the GOP who were present, and they would pass it along to the election officials. I did so. They spoke to her. I could see them talk to her, and she looking over at me. Well, when I came back around the room again, I noticed that she was still not checking, second checking the votes. As she noticed me coming up behind her, she started to exaggeratedly raise the ballots to her face, but I was satisfied with this. I'm content. All I want is for her to be double checking the ballots. But I noticed as I walked away that she was staring at me as she was being handed more ballots. And so her and other people began to get increasingly aware of me, staring me down, pointing me out, calling their bosses over, stuff of that nature. And so that's, for some reason, I haven't done anything. I haven't touched anybody. All I'm there is to do is to write down, observe, and I'm not even supposed to speak to these people. So I've not even spoken to them. As I came back around the room, I got up behind the same individual and heard her say to the other monitor, the other auditor, and this is a quote. She said, "I'm paid by the taxpayer, and this effing a-hole wants to come in here and watch me." Now, obviously, she didn't censor herself, but for sake of being in this meeting, I'll censor that. And my issue with that is the tone, I guess, that she had and the overall sentiment towards us. I'm a taxpayer. I'm lawfully allowed to be here. I've gone through the process. I have the letter that allows me to be on the floor, and to see, the tone that they had towards us. The other things that we noticed at Cobb County, and we had this confirmed at Gwinnett County. This was when I say we, I'm referring to me and my brother who also attended. In Gwinnett County, there was not supposed to be any blue or black pins on the table. And in Cobb County, I think it's tables 27, 28, 29, 31, and 36 all had blue or black pins on their tables while they were handling absentee ballots. So the concern for this is this produces the ability to make an overvote, which very quickly, I just want to say that they were having overvotes, which were already supposed to have been sorted out of Hall C and taken to Hall B for adjudication. This is per Janine Eveler, who was the lady in charge there. Those overvotes were already sorted out, yet they continued to have overvotes turning up in Hall C. So this really begs into question, the potentiality of having the pins on the table with those and us only being allowed 4 monitors, that you could change it. But I know that we're short on time, so I just wanted to go on to Fulton County very quickly. I still have this piece of paper right here. And what this piece of paper is it is the letter that allows me to come out onto the floor at the recount. This is allowing me to get up close and personal to observe the counting tables. I still have this letter that's supposed to be surrendered because no one asked who I was. No one confirmed who I was when I got there. There was no security. I simply walked into the basement of the World Congress Center. There was a notepad where I could sign my name if I wanted to or didn't. And there was no one to confirm. And this really disturbing lack of security is very important because within just a minute of me being on the recount floor, and again, this is all sworn to in my affidavit, And I will swear to it again. A man walked up to me. They have runners who are supposed to take the suitcases to the auditing tables for them to count the ballots. They check them out at the front of the room. They bring them out to him. So this man comes up to me with the suitcase ballots and he said, "Hey, I was supposed to take these to table 96, but they already have a suitcase of ballots there." He then rolled the suitcase forward and asked me if I could take it. So he's offering me a suitcase of ballots. And with the security in the room, I just want to let everybody make sure it's perfectly clear. Very easily could I or someone like myself who was in that position could have walked out of that room with those ballots. And this is a large number of ballots in that suitcase. So the other question this begs is, why did table 96 already have a suitcase full of ballots when they're supposed to be checked out one at a time? And again, no one here ever confirmed who I was. I had constantly auditors asking me questions as if I was a recount official, asking me what to do with the ballots, how they could get more ballots, asking me questions about ballots. Now, I'm following my side of the rules that I'm not supposed to speak to them, so I would simply put my hands up. But I've at no point was it ever confirmed who I was being out on this floor, being as close as possible to these ballots. And you mentioned Soucie Voiles was talking about these pristine ballots. I would like to say I was there while she was receiving one such batch of those ballots, the perfectly flat ballots. And I do have images of those ballots. I have pictures of those ballots that I would be more than happy to share with anybody here who would like to see those. Other things that I was able to document is that there was no, at the front of the room were all these ballot storage, ballot transport cases, I believe is what they refer to them as, were stored. There was a back hall that there was no security. Auditors could simply walk into the restroom. There was exit doors. No one was checking on the comings and goings of anybody. And I know I've repeated this several times, but no one confirmed who I was when I was there. One of the only brief incidences of communication that I had was when they asked me to step away from Soucie Voiles' table because we were observing. I don't know what the issue was there. But they're at another point, they have actual batch numbers on the piece of paper where it is written down what batch they're working on. So us as monitors, we started recording those batch numbers. Well, the auditors started flipping over their pieces of paper so that we could not see the specific batch number. And when I asked one of the election officials, I said, "Hey, we're not supposed to talk to these people. How am I supposed to see this batch number? Is there a way I can communicate them to show them to me?" His reply was, "Well, you're not supposed to be close enough to see the batch number." So this is all being branded as an audit, when I can tell you that's not at all the case, when we're not allowed to observe certain things, not see it. But fair enough, what I was able to observe was pretty disturbing. There are several tables that I have images of these and I'd be happy to share them with you. One extremely egregious example was, it was an 8 to 10 inch tall stack of ballots that went only for Biden. And there is not a single Trump vote. So this is several thousand ballots that are represented here. These are not sorted in any way, but as the people are going through, they're placing them on the pile for Biden, and there is not a single Trump vote out of it. And I work with consumer data in my job, and I can just tell you that the odds of 100 percentile like that is, we're wary if anything approaches the 90th percentile. So for you to tell me that a certain area has voted 100% with not a single vote for President Trump, I just find that very hard to believe. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. I've tried to reach out to people about this, and it's just now some people have started to answer or listen, but I only showed up as a representative, as a volunteer to go to this process to see it for myself. And I'm not some super sleuth. I'm not some detective, but I was able to just walk out there and immediately stumble into a bunch of very glaringly apparent issues. And again, I'll mention at the state legislature where they were saying that, well, we just don't know what we're looking at. We don't understand how this process is supposed to work. One, I find that a little bit condescending, this whole technocratic, autocratic idea that we are just, the plebeian fools who don't know what's better for us. But I may not work in elections, but I'm not a mechanic. But if your car is billowing smoke going down the highway, I can tell you have an issue. So the people claiming that everything was done above board here, I'm not even going to go as far to say that it was malice. I may have my personal opinions on that, but just the gross negligence, the disdain for the ballots, and how this was all carried out in this recount it's really been an absurd, and it's been a shame.
Well, thank you, Mr. Soucie. I appreciate you being with us today. And you said you have signed affidavits that
Absolutely. And I've got these images that I can actually show them right now, but I don't know how you guys would feel about that. But I actually have the pictures of Soucie Voel's ballots that you can see. They are flat ballots.
Please forward that on to us so that we
Absolutely.
can make it available. And thank you again. Thank you again very much for coming. We will probably like to hear back from you at some point in the future.
Hey, I'm ready to talk. Whoever wants to talk.
I don't see any questions, so we're going to move on to Mr. Luke Martin.
No questions.
Oh, Representative Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Soucie.
Absolutely.
You said just towards the end of your testimony there that people are just now starting, but you didn't specify who, as far as getting back in touch with you regarding some of these issues.
No one from the Secretary of States, if that's what you're trying to ascertain from that. No one in an official capacity has really reached out to. Just some people have been interested in hearing the story when I was called to the state legislature, but nobody in an official capacity has reached out to take my affidavit, my concerns.
Did you have any executive branch interactions with anyone? Did you complain to investigators, or have you contacted the Secretary of State's office to issue your complaint?
So I have called several of the numbers that I was told, and I've emailed my affidavits, my complaints to a lot of people, and I've had no follow-up.
Among those, a lot of people, I'm sorry for being very specific. Among those, a lot of people were the Secretary of State's office?
The Secretary of State, I was never given access to that, but I know that my complaint was passed along by someone, supposedly. I spoke to several GOP people as well.
Thank you, Mr. Soucie. Mr. Martin, Floyd County